There's some massive news surrounding Epstein, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm not sure Trump can recover from this one. CNN drops an exclusive bombshell showing Trump at a wedding with Epstein. Newly discovered photos. The photos have been known for years. All of this was public record. Epstein's attendance was not widely known until now, CNN reported. So CNN is reporting years-old news now just to further a hoax on Trump. Apparently, the reporter called Trump and he said, "You've got to be kidding me," called CNN fake news and hung up. This is from, like, how old is this? I don't even know how old this is, but this is where they are. They are scraping the bottom of the barrel to try, and they're just going to try to do anything they can to keep the story going, and that's totally fine. I would tell them to report on the actual administration's behavior because that's far more damaging to the administration than pulling up something from, however long ago, older than Mario Kart 8. It's from 1999. Yeah, it's from the fucking 90s. It's from the 90s. And CNN is reporting on it like it's something new, like they've got something on him. It's over, ladies and gentlemen. We finally got him. And I'm like, good Lord, because I saw it. Yeah, so 1993 is what it is. Right here. Here it is. CNN published photos of Epstein at Trump's wedding in 1993. 1993. So I continue to ask if there is something damaging of Donald Trump with Jeffrey Epstein. Don't you think they would have released it already? They're scraping the bottom of the barrel. They're acting like this is new news so that people on the left will run with it. Talk about the administration's fumbling of the Epstein files, because it has been a fumble. Talk about that. Talk about how Pam Bondi brought a bunch of stupid influencers and handed blank folders that said Epstein Files Phase 1 and never followed through. Talk about how Pam Bondi came on national TV and said that the Epstein files are on her desk, and yet then turned around and said the Epstein files don't exist. Talk about that. That is the biggest fumble this administration has ever had. And CNN has decided we're going to pull up photos from 1993. Good Lord. We knew this. This is nothing new. And they're acting like that they're breaking some massive story to expose Trump. It is painful at best to watch this whole thing play out. But this is all they have. And again, if there was something, when they're pulling stories like this, do you not think that they would absolutely expose Trump if they had something that exposed him? Like, seriously. Michelle Obama was still going by Michael in 1993. I mean, that would be breaking news, I guess. Yeah, but, I mean, we did get this piece of information today from Fox News. Trump makes unprecedented move in Epstein investigation. Now, what's interesting about this is that apparently they are going to talk to Ghislaine Maxwell. Okay, apparently they're going to talk to her. My question is, did Pam Bondi not know that she was like available for a discussion 3 months ago? So now suddenly Pam Bondi's like, oh, we could go talk to Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend who's in prison. Like, yeah, you could have done that 3 months ago. Jesus.
To our top story now, the U.S. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche says he wants to meet in person with Ghislaine Maxwell. She is in federal prison for aiding Jeffrey Epstein, and the House Oversight Committee has just voted to subpoena Maxwell, compelling her to appear for a deposition. Joining us now is the former Deputy Assistant Attorney General John Yoo. John, good to be with you. President Trump was asked about this a moment ago when he was with the president of the Philippines in the Oval Office. This is what he said about Todd Blanche going to talk to Ghislaine Maxwell. Listen here.
Yeah, I don't know about it, but I think it's something that sounds appropriate to do. I didn't know that they were going to do it. I don't really follow that too much. It's sort of a witch hunt, just a continuation of the witch hunt.
Which is in line with what I said exactly before all of this blew up, where I said, I don't think Trump cares about this story as much as his base does. And I continue to be proven right.
You think of the whole idea, because certainly you would think, as close as she was to Jeffrey Epstein, that she holds the keys to the kingdom.
John, good to be with you. This is a remarkable step. The Deputy Attorney General does not go around meeting with federal inmates or even meeting with people who might turn state's evidence in ongoing cases. So this is a sign of how serious the Trump administration thinks this is, how worried they are that trust in the administration is eroding, is that they got to call out the really big guns to get involved, like the deputy.
I don't think that I disagree that the Trump administration thinks this is important. I think that that is the exact reason why we've ended up in this situation, is because the Trump administration has not thought of this as important, and that's why we are where we are. They may think of it as important now, but they have not thought of it as important up until the last week or two.
The Attorney General. On the other hand, you have to ask, how much does Ghislaine Maxwell know anymore? If she had all this information, the time she would have used it was when she was trying to reach some kind of plea bargain with the government to avoid the very jail time she's in now. However, if there's anybody who might still be at the center of a conspiracy, who might have knowledge of all the people who went to Epstein's island, anybody who might have been blackmailed by Epstein, it would still be Maxwell. She's the only one, I think, who's left.
Yeah, I mean, again, she was literally attached to him at the hip. You would think that she would know just about everything that he was doing. Now, in terms of her cooperating with the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, do you think she would just say, oh, sure, let's talk? Or would she say, what are you going to give me in exchange for me talking?
Of course not, John. She is going to press for the best deal she can get. Now, she's already serving a sentence in federal prison, but the president can commute a sentence. The president could even give her a pardon. I don't think a pardon would be warranted, but the president could say, in exchange for your cooperation, I will order a reduction in your sentence so you could get out earlier than promised. But she would really need to come across with the goods. She's also got a case. Her case is actually still pending right now at the Supreme Court. I believe the Justice Department is opposing the Supreme Court taking her case. Her case is not the kind that the Supreme Court would take, but she might also ask that the Justice Department drop its opposition to her appeal to the Supreme Court. I can't see the Justice Department doing that, but she's going to try to trade whatever information she has for less time in jail.
Well, a grant of clemency, certainly.
Is she serving like, what, 20 years? Is that what her sentence was 20 years? Something like that?
It would be a controversial thing. Congressman Tim Burchett was talking earlier today about this idea that Pam Bondi has asked a federal judge in New York to unseal all of the documents and testimony before a grand jury. This is what he said.
I applaud the president and Attorney General Bondi for wanting to release the grand jury files. I believe that'll pretty much cover everything. But I would give everybody a caveat, or that's a big word, but a warning that just because somebody flew on a plane doesn't mean they're a dadgum pedophile.
Yeah, it was Burchett, actually, who introduced the motion in the House to subpoena Ghislaine Maxwell. What do you think we could discover if the grand jury testimony and the files are released? Now, I should say that there's a bit of a caveat here from the judge involved in the case. I've got his order right here before me. This is Judge Richard Berman. We've heard his name before. He said Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure 6E codified the practice, quote, older than our nation itself, that proceedings before a grand jury shall generally remain secret. So if he releases all this stuff, it's going to be a pretty rare occasion.
And John, this would be momentous. It would also be, I think, unlikely to happen in full. The reason why we don't release grand jury testimony, the reason we don't rely raw law enforcement files, is because they are filled with innuendo, rumor, gossip, massive amounts of things that are unverified, possibly untrue. And so when the government speaks, it usually only speaks in the four corners of the indictment, the documents it produces in court. And so one thing we don't want to do in all this is to besmirch people's reputations, destroy reputations, but also we want to make sure that people are willing to cooperate with the government in the future. Witnesses are not going to appear and not going to voluntarily testify if someday the government might release everything they said. So there's got to be a careful balance here between privacy, between the needs of the Justice Department in the future to carry out prosecutions, but also getting to the bottom of the truth about what's happened with this Epstein.
Well, I agree with everything he's saying. And that's why this situation should have been taken more seriously from the administration. And we could say that, and I firmly believe that this is just not something that's important to Trump because he's got so many other things on his plate. But people like Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, they are in the trenches on this. They understood the transparency that needed to be released. And that's why this should have been handled in a lot better way, because those two guys in particular, more so than even Pam Bondi, those two guys understood the demand that the public and the base of MAGA had for this better than anybody. And the fact that this thing has been fumbled so fucking bad is embarrassing, to say the least. It's absolutely embarrassing. And I obviously the ultimate responsibility still lies on, Trump. But when you're talking about the details here, Patel and Bongino have to be directly held responsible if this thing doesn't get worked out. You can release, again, if there's a list. I don't even know if there's a fucking list, but Kash Patel seemed to think there was a list. Kash Patel, before becoming the FBI director, said the FBI has the list and they will not release it. That was what he said. Now he's the director. Now, if in fact, hypothetically, and I'm just saying hypothetically, I'm going on what Patel and Bongino have tried to kind of say, but it's like, my rule in life is like anything else. I think that if you're going to offer an apology to someone, for instance, I think the apology should be as impactful as whatever you did to warrant an apology. So for instance, if I, hit you, you should be able to hit me back, in theory, so if I do something that's really bad to you, I better go out of my way instead of just giving you like a half-ass, like, hey, sorry, I did that fucked up thing. I need to like go out of my way and go over and beyond to apologize, for instance. Now, my point being is that Kash Patel went overboard on the Epstein list before he became the FBI director. Once you become the FBI director, you have a responsibility to give the same energy with what you have found as the same energy that you were putting out to get that position. All that bravado, all of that shit talking, all of that energy, you were sitting there just boom, 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 this. And then you're going to sit there like a corporate stooge in a tie and go, I know what I'm talking about. I'm qualified. Here's what I know. Fuck off. No. We did not push for a typical politically correct suit and a tie. That is not what we wanted. We wanted a guy that was willing to go out there and say things and call things out and talk to us like we're normal people, not like you're a political robot. And suddenly he starts talking like a political robot. Same with Dan Bongino. That's why nobody's buying it. Nobody's buying it. You got to talk to us as the people that we wanted to run this, the FBI. But you're talking like a person that we hated from the FBI. You're not talking like the person that we wanted to run the FBI or to get into these powerful positions. It sucks. So it's very frustrating. It's very, very frustrating. So the responsibility ultimately, the administration has to be, held accountable for that. And it is what it is.